Okay guys, welcome back down to Carbon Car Systems. Today we're going to be running you through the new dash camera from Thinkware. This is it here, the F800. So this has just come out today, the 15th of September in Australia. It is now available readily across Australia from any major Thinkware distributor or retailer. Massive fan of the Thinkware cameras, and I've been waiting for this one for a little while. This one actually won an award in CES in 2017 as one of the most notable dash cameras available, or driver recording cameras on the market, and its previous models, which are actually still current, but this is replacing it as the flagship model, the F770 and the F750. We're going to compare the three for you and tell you what are some of the upgrades they've actually done in this new camera, which is some pretty cool upgrades, and we're going to talk about the price differences. We're going to run you through some of the footage, how you install it in the car as well, and there is a new app for that as well, because these cameras, all three of these versions, have Wi-Fi available, and you can actually connect them to your smartphone in the car, check footage and everything, and send it to yourself, save files, so you don't constantly pull the SD card out and put it in your computer. So that's notable about these dash cameras. And these have been bulletproof. They've been really good in the summer in heat in Australia, which is a major importance, because you don't want these things overheating, especially sitting on a windscreen in summer inside a car and get up to like 80 degrees Celsius. It gets really hot internally. They really cook SD cards if they're not a well-designed camera. So these have been bulletproof. We're going to discuss this new one and run it through you. This will be the review for you on our channel, Carbon Car Systems. Alright guys, so this is the new dash camera from Thinkware. So Thinkware is a Korean brand company, the Korean manufactured, so they're really high quality. This is the F800 Pro is what they're calling it. Now, this camera actually won an award in CES in 2017. It was an honoree for one of the best technology or best innovative designs that year. Now, we're going to run you through some of the features and why it's different to some of the previous models or the existing models that they have on the market, so that you actually know the differences and what you're going to be paying for with this new camera. So this is it here. It is a pretty sleek design. It's actually been completely redesigned from Thinkware, so you can actually see the sides here. It's noticeably thinner. It's got an adjustable head on it, so when it is mounted on your front windscreen, you can adjust the angle depending on the car. This is the bracket here that actually comes off. You can pull them off your front windscreen without removing the adhesive. So really, really cool design on that. But we're going to run you through some of the footage, but firstly we're going to talk about the differences hardware-wise and some of the features that you're going to see different in this new model. So one of the biggest upgrades they did on this model as compared to the older model is the actual image sensor. So the image sensor on this now is a Sony Exmor Starvis image sensor, which basically means it's going to have clearer resolution. It is still full HD 1080p, same as the old models, and you can select lower, like standard HD footage in the app when you pair it up and get longer record times, but the resolution will be smaller. But these have really, really good night vision on them now as well. So it's called Night Vision 3.0 is what they're calling it, because basically that's how clear it is going to be at night. We're going to show you some of the daytime footage, and we'll try and load up some nighttime footage on that and compare these two. I'm currently running an F770 in my car, and we'll put this one next to it, and we'll try and get some comparison footage up, and we'll load that onto our YouTube channel, Carbon Car Systems, as well. So, some of the other differences on this new model is a cloud-based version, so you are actually going to be able to upload things to the cloud from your car. Now, the way that's going to work is not through a SIM card. It's actually going to hotspot off your phone in the car. So when you first go into the new app, so I think we have a new dash camera app for this, which we're going to show you some screen grabs of that as well in this video, so you can see the differences and make sure you get the right app for the right camera. The new app basically, when you pair it up to your hotspot, it'll show you and run you through how to do that. It will send things to the cloud. So if there's an event, this has a G sensor or a shock sensor in it. So if you had an accident, and you're paired in the car, it will send it to the cloud so that image is not destroyed in the SD card, damaged, lost, or whatever. So, and they'll have some other cool features as well, like geofencing, so you'll get location reports, speed reports, and you can set up a few things like that. They haven't actually released the cloud-based firmware or software for this as of yet in Australia. This is as of recording this video in September. It is set to release later this year in December, and it is going to be a firmware update. So you'll be able to update it through your phone. It's not going to be different hardware. It will be the same unit. So if you buy it now, it will still be valid. So that's a couple of the main differences that you're going to have in terms of the units. This one also will take up to 128 gigabyte micro SD card now. So previous models will only go up to 64 gigabyte versions. This will go up to 128 gigabyte version. And it is important to use the right SD card because it's not always about the write speed. So they actually have to have a really high write speed, but it's more about the rewriting and over recording of the SD card, like how many times it can loop over itself without the SD card crapping itself, basically. So one of the cool things about this is these also have a new firmware or software. They've designed it to be format free, so it will auto format itself every now and then, basically to prolong the life of your SD card. So that's a new software feature they've added. Previously you would have to manually format that to delete it and defrag your SD card to prolong the life. So that was one of the cool upgrades they also did. Now, hardware wise, if you want to compare the two, so this is a comparison. They're basically the same footprint. If you laid them over the top of each other, they are relatively the same size. The new F800 on the left here, or on your right as you view this, is relatively a little bit thinner. Not too much, but they're relatively the same. The back styling of these is fractionally different. It actually looks nicer on the F800. Okay, but they really still have the same buttons. They've got a manual record button, so that's the middle one here. They've got a voice mute here, a power on, a format button, and a Wi-Fi button, and that is the same for the old F770. If you want to see more on the F770, check out our older reviews on those on our YouTube as well. So this is also the F750 to give you an idea of the evolution of this camera. So that's the previous one. This is still current model, still quite well worth buying if you wanted something that's affordable, that's feature packed. It's really, really cool, but you can see a noticeable size difference when you're actually comparing those. So that's the size difference between the F770s there, 750, sorry, and that's the older model. But it's basically around that same style, but it's a lot thinner, a lot sleeker. Completely black, okay? You see a lot of the footage online, it shows this section is silver. They've actually gone ahead and made that black. This tape is also black, so when it goes on the front of your windscreen, it looks really, really nice. A new extra they did, these have built-in GPS, okay? Both models have built-in GPS for doing speed stamping, location stamping, so when you actually have the footage, you can load it in the computer on their software, which is PC and Mac compatible, and it'll actually location report for you. Now, the cool thing about these actually have a GPS slot now, and that is going to be used for external GPS antenna. Now, that is an optional extra because it still has GPS built in. But why that's important is on a lot of the Euro vehicles, so you've got the BMWs, the Mercedes, the Land Rovers, or some of those higher end cars, they have what's called a reflective windscreen on the front. And when they have that, it can block the GPS signal, so it's not going to work. So if you wanted to mount this on your vehicle, you can mount it, have the external antenna running up into those windscreens, often have a spot that is not reflective, that they can actually still get the GPS location. So that's important for some of those higher end vehicles where you want to add that onto. Now, the rear camera is also a new camera. It still looks the same as the old camera. So this is the new F800 rear camera. Okay, it is very important that this is a new style because of the new image sensor and the new camera lens that they're actually running to get the high resolution, the better night vision. It is important that you get that. It's about $10 more than the old one. To give you an idea, I think retail's about $200. You probably pick them up for about $180 for the rear camera. The older rear cameras on the F770, F750, they're about $20, $30 cheaper than that. One cool thing is the cable from front to rear from the F770 is the same cable front to rear for the F800. So you could technically keep the cable in the car if you wanted to upgrade models. But the brackets are different. Okay, this bracket here, even though it looks the same as the F770, they are not interchangeable, these brackets, okay? So it is specific for that camera. All right, so these are really cool. They do come with a cigarette lighter adapter in the unit, but really that you're not gonna use that. What you really wanna get with it is the hard wire harness. So this is the hard wire harness and how you install it in the car, and it quite simply plugs into it. It's a power, earth, and ignition trigger, and that hard wires into your car. And the reason that's important is to give you the motion detection feature of this unit overnight. So when you turn your car off, this is what's going to power it overnight, and when people walk in front of your car, these cameras have motion detection. They wake up out of standby, they do record overnight in fragments, and when the movement stops, they shut back down. So it's a good way to go. These two units have what's called a time-lapse feature. So it actually can record increments overnight and give you a time lapse of the entire night. Now, previously on this model, the F770, it was a selection between having the motion detection or the time lapse. You couldn't run both at the same time. Personally, I like the motion detection. I want to know that when something happened, it did record rather than possibly record it all night, but that was just me personally. I think that's a preference. One of the things they did upgrade on this, these have better power consumption. So I'd say they're using a better processor. They're using about 1/3 of the power consumption. So for features like that time lapse overnight, it will record even longer. So some of the reasons you might use that, I guess, is if you went to a location, you will park for say only 2 hours, you're gonna be there, you could record that whole 2 hours, and it basically takes, I think it's 2 shots every second, and it pieces it all up, and you're gonna get that whole 2 hours of footage on here, just in case you wanted that for that peace of mind. But personally, it should light up and record with the motion detection as well. Viewing angle, 140 degrees on both cameras, full HD, 1080p resolution, really good image correction in their footage. So they image correct a lot of the glare and give really good footage on these cameras. And that's nothing new that they've done this year, but they also have forward collision, lane protection warning, lane guidance warning on these, so that when you're driving and deviating from your lanes, they will give you alerts. They give you speed camera, red light camera alerts, and even mobile area alerts, mobile speed camera alerts, sorry. And you can update those files for free off their website or through the app. They give you updates every quarter for free, and that is kind of a cool feature to stop you getting any fines. These now have an overload protection. Not that I had any issues with these overheating, but this has an extra protection built into it now. If it ever gets too hot, it will shut down itself rather than you do damage to the camera, so you're not wasting your money. I guess it's not always the cheapest dash camera on the market because it is a high quality one, so protecting it, I guess, is of important factor there. But that's really the dash camera in a nutshell, some of the main features that they've upgraded. We're gonna run you through, let's go have a look at it. We're gonna run you through the app a bit, and we're gonna see some of the footage as well. So let's go take a look at that.